Hello everyone, welcome to the KZGN News. Today we'll bring you status of the water in California, Ridgecrest Planning Commission news, status of the new Walmart, election news, today's gas prices, weather, sports, and much more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
Hello, I'm Tom Whitnick. Thanks for joining us for the news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley. So how do you feel about this year's El Nino? Has it helped our water situation? I was at a lunch the other day and a man told me that all the reservoirs in California are now full. This surprised me, so I thought I'd look into it. Anyway, here's a chart of the reservoirs in California. This chart is from the California Department of Water Resources. It shows that two of the state's most northern and largest reservoirs are at or above normal levels. Shasta, Oroville, and Folsom are at average capacity or slightly above average capacity. Those are good signs. The last two of the state's larger reservoirs, Trinity and Don Pedro, are at about 50% capacity, but below average capacity. As we move south, we find the state remaining 7 reservoirs well below average capacity, except the very small Millerton Reservoir in the Central Valley is at capacity. Down south, Paris and Castaic are at about 35% of average capacity. So we are still in need of water there. But then I received another amazing story from a viewer. A story that federal operating policies are having some reservoirs dumping water to maintain only a 60% level. As Californians hope for rain and snow to end the state's extreme drought, a decades-old rule prohibits reservoirs from filling up in the winter, so some water ends up being released. The rule may sound odd given how chronically dry California is, but it's actually to prevent a bigger disaster, flooding. In the winter, reservoirs are not allowed to fill up so that they can capture excessive amounts of water that flow out of the mountains during storms. It was a solution engineered to prevent disasters like the massive flooding in 1986 when California was hit with a powerful winter storm. The Folsom Lake Reservoir near Sacramento is an example. Drew Lessard manages the reservoir for the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation. It's filled up with so much water, he says, that authorities are releasing water to empty it out. The reservoir is only at 60% capacity, and it has to stay that way. In light of new challenges, Marty Ralph, who directs the Center for Western Weather and Water Extremes at the University of California, San Diego, is working on a new way to run reservoirs by relying on weather predictions that have become a lot more accurate. If you think about it, the laws that govern water in the West were created in the 19th century, and yet here we live in the 21st century, Ralph says. Weather predictions have been improving over the last decades. Instead of emptying out a reservoir preemptively in case of a storm, managers could keep the reservoir fuller with an eye on the weather. If a storm happens, they'd have 3, 4, or 5 days lead time, enough to release that extra water and get it out of the way safely, Ralph says. But if storms don't appear, that water could be saved. In summary, to prepare for the hopeful snow melt runoff, some of the reservoirs are dumping water to make room for the runoff. And yet, we've heard reports from Washington and Sacramento last summer and fall that we needed to get ready to build more storage capacity so we could capture and store the water that we are once again dumping in the ocean. While all of us are being threatened with fines if we don't conserve state-mandated reductions in use. So, is anyone doing anything to increase capacity? I can't find any evidence of either the state or Washington are doing anything but talking about it. Ridgecrest Planning Commission meeting is going to be held tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock at City Hall. At the meeting, they'll discuss these items. They'll have a consideration of minor amendments to comprehensive sign permit from Eastern Sierra Marketplace, otherwise known as Super Walmart, and are requesting modifications to the signs approved in 2011. Next, they'll consider an extension of time for a conditional use permit for the Desert Area Resource and Training expansion. It's a request to add an 8,000 square foot building at the existing DART facilities. It's a request to add an 8,000 square foot building at the existing DART facilities located on a 2.8-acre lot on North Gold Canyon Drive. Then they'll consider revised building elevations for a site plan review for the existing McDonald's located on North Charlie Boulevard. And finally, they'll have a consideration of prioritizing general plan implementation measures by planning commissioners. So if you're interested in any of these action items, join them Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. at City Hall. So are you curious as to the status of the Super Walmart? Here's how it looks today. Progress is coming along very fine. This store is almost double the size of the original store. There have been no hard delays so far. But of course, in any construction this big, there will be surprises, but all are being handled. They have started prepping for intersection work at China Lake and Bowman. That entire intersection will be rebuilt and a traffic signal will be installed, as well as Bowman Road itself will be completely rebuilt and widened for the new store. They have also started grading the Bowman flood channel. This is critical for flood control, of course. Along China Lake and Bowman, they have to move a lot of utility lines. So a lot of work will be done in that area soon. Expect traffic delays as they go through the road construction process. As far as the status of the old Walmart store, I'm told that the current store has been sold to another developer for about $3 million. The new developer plans to divide the store into 4 stores. They supposedly have interest from some large retailers, but no names have been released yet. Personally, I think it would be smart if they converted it into a small indoor mall. They could wrap the stores around the outside walls and have a center mall area. But I guess it's not up to me. But I think it would make the retail space more attractive for renters and shoppers. Just a thought. Anyway, the new store is on target for completion. Now stay with us. After the break, we'll have some election news. Thanks for staying with us. Well, Tuesday, March 22nd, we have Republican elections in American Samoa, Utah, and Arizona. There are 107 delegates available. For the Democrats, we have elections in Idaho, Utah, and Arizona. There are 131 delegates available for them. Right now, the polls predict Trump and Cruz will probably split the delegates for the Republicans. For the Democrats, it looks like Clinton is ahead in their states, but Sanders is making a hard push to flip Arizona to him. Well, we'll find out Tuesday evening what happens. In the latest for foreign funding for the presidential race, foreign money keeps coming in for the Democrats. Newsmax is reporting that to date, Clinton leads with about $495,000 raised in foreign countries. Our election laws only allow U.S. citizens and green card holders living in other countries that are allowed to donate. Foreigners are not permitted to donate to American campaigns. But I have to wonder, if it's American citizens and green card holders living abroad donating, where are they getting their money to donate? I mean, are they using money they made in the U.S. and having the money sent to them in whatever country they live in? Or are they making the money in that foreign country where they are located? If that is the case, these donors could receive money from foreigners that provide the money to the American citizen, who in turn just donates the money in their own name. I wonder how the Elections Commission can trace the money flow to make sure funds donated were funds earned just from American business. Just thinking out loud here. So, Clinton has raised about $500,000 so far. That's a lot of money. In comparison, Sanders has reported about $100,000. Not too shabby either. As far as the Republicans, Cruz has received a whopping $23,000. Trump has received $1,100. And Kasich has received a whole bunch of $50. So, it's obvious that Democrats out of the country are trying to pick our next president. It's reported that while none of the candidates have actually campaigned out of the country, Clinton's daughter Chelsea did attend a function in England. Other functions were held by Tony Bennett and Vogue editor Anna Wintour for Clinton. Other fundraisers have been held in England, Germany, Mexico, and South Africa. Now here's some news of innovation from the China Lake High-Tech Consortium. NAVAIR's Warfare Center commander recently created an exciting new career-building program called the Innovation Challenge. The Innovation Challenge gives teams of developmental employees the chance to operate in a competitive environment as they develop engineering and scientific solutions to specific technical challenges. It's truly a win-win for our employees and the Navy. Participants submitted white paper proposals that would benefit one or several of NAVAIR's strategic priorities, such as cyber warfare, data fusion, open architecture, autonomy, additive manufacturing, and others. A panel of judges evaluated the teams on specific criteria including applicability to a current or emerging naval aviation challenges, team structure, and ability to execute the proposed innovative concept. Innovation is one of NAVAIR's top priorities and an integral part of our business, stated Vice Admiral David Dunaway, Commander, NAVAIR. We have a rich history in innovation and invention inspired by people like physicist Dr. McLean, the father of the Sidewinder missile and China Lake's technical director from 1954 to 1957. Dr. McLean championed the importance of creativity in engineering and scientific endeavors. Then as now, our military is driven in large measure by rules, budgets, and process. But Dr. McLean insisted that creativity was important, and an overzealous process focus can kill innovation. If we upset the balance between process and creativity, we risk losing our innovative edge. It's not one or the other, it's both sides in balance. Process when necessary, innovation where possible, and the wisdom to know the difference. All told, 44 teams competed from the aircraft and weapons divisions submitting project proposals. 5 teams, 3 from the aircraft division in Pax River, and 2 from the weapons division at China Lake. They received approval to work on their projects over a 6-month period during fiscal year 15. NOC-WD China Lake Innovation Challenge winners proposed developing an expendable aerial vehicle that could increase battlefield intelligence. Team members are Scott Slaughter, Derek Hamill, Chase York, Vincent Schutz, Pavel Rybakov, and team mentor Jonathan Duncan. Team leader was Nicholas Albrecht. The 5 teams selected to move on in the competition began work on their projects in February and will present results to the judging panel in August. This is great news that innovation is alive and well at China Lake. In local news, we get the announcement that the 21st Annual Respect for Law Recognition Dinner is this Friday. The dinner is to recognize local law enforcement officers from every department that services Ridgecrest and the Valley. They'll be honoring officers this year from the following agencies: Ridgecrest Police, Kern County Sheriff, China Lake Police, and the California Highway Patrol. The dinner is hosted by a group: Footprinters, Rotary Club, Lions Club, Elks Lodge, IWV Optimist Club, Kiwanis Club, Women's Center, Knights of Columbus, and the American Legion. The dinner will be held at 5:30 p.m. at the Elks Lodge on Church Street, here in Ridgecrest. Tickets can be purchased from any of the host organizations. The tickets are $18 per person and must be purchased in advance. No tickets will be sold at the door. Advance sales are necessary to allow the caterer to order the right amount of food. A no-host bar will be available. For more information, contact Jan Bennett at 760-382-4488 or her email at skipandjan@gmail.com. Again, the dinner is this Friday, 5:30 p.m. at the Elks Lodge. Now some Kern County Supervisor meeting news. I'm happy to report that KZGN is now broadcasting the supervisor meetings live Tuesday mornings. The supervisors have the desire to increase their transparency. So we here at KZGN were approached by the Kern County media staff to carry the meetings. We agreed to do that. Since this is the first time people here in the Valley are now able to see the supervisors meeting live over the air and on Mediacom cable. They have helped us set up the necessary equipment to broadcast it here. So our plan is to broadcast their meetings live every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. So tell your friends and neighbors, even those that only have satellite TV. Let them know that if they just put up a little antenna outside for their TV, they would then easily be able to switch over their TV to watch KZGN's 3 TV channels when they want to. KZGN-TV Ridgecrest is now carrying the Board of Supervisors meetings every Tuesday morning. KZGN is live over the air and on channels 21.1, 21.2, and 21.3. KZGN-TV is also on Mediacom cable channels 21, 322, 323, and 521. KZGN is your source of programming with local emphasis. Join us every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. for the live Kern County Supervisors regular meetings. Now in KZGN's continuous effort to provide news and information you've asked for, here are today's gas prices for Ridgecrest and some surrounding areas. Well, since my last report on Friday, local prices have held steady and one station even dropped 1 cent per gallon. The good news is we still have the lowest prices in all the areas we are monitoring. As of this morning, Ridgecrest is ranging from 242 to 289 per gallon. Lancaster from 259 to 299. The LA Valley area 253 to 275, and the Bishop area 260 to 299. We have one station at 242 and 3 stations at 243 per gallon. Tune in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for updates. We at KZGN always suggest you shop locally to support our local economy. Remember, when you pay sales tax out of town, you're helping those cities pave their streets instead of here. Thanks for staying with us. Now let's go to Lane for the weather. Hey Lane, I see there's wind blowing out there. What's happening?
Thank you, Tom. And yes, there is some wind out there. From the National Weather Service, a low-pressure system off the northeast coast will track northeast into Monday. Snow is expected to continue into Monday morning over portions of the northeast and southern New England. Heavy snow is expected from eastern Long Island to Boston, including Cape Cod and Rhode Island. Travel impacts are likely. Temperatures across the nation: Carolinas at 49, Georgia at 52, Arkansas at 57, northern Texas at 65, Arizona at 80, and Los Angeles at 62. And for us locally, tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 50, south-southwest wind 25 to 30 miles per hour with gusts as high as 45. Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high near 68, west wind 25 to 30 miles per hour with gusts as high as 40. Tuesday night, mostly clear with a low around 37, west-southwest wind 20 to 25 miles per hour with gusts as high as 35. Wednesday, sunny with a high near 69, northwest wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. Wednesday night, mostly clear with a low around 41, northeast wind 5 miles per hour. Thursday, sunny with a high near 75, northwest wind 5 miles per hour. Thursday night, mostly clear with a low around 44, west-northwest wind 5 miles per hour. And Friday, sunny with a high near 79, northwest wind 5 miles per hour. And that is your forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom.
Thanks, Lane. And now here's Tom Heck with sports.
A very pleasant Monday evening to everyone. Let's start with the NCAA basketball tournament. Crazy, crazy things. That's why they call it March Madness. No crazier than Northern Iowa and Texas A&M. Northern Iowa had a 14-point lead with 44 seconds to go and ends up losing the game. The game went into overtime. 4 consecutive turnovers, a couple of threes and layups. Just like that. That's the biggest lead I've ever seen evaporate ever. Now, they will have to play Oklahoma next, A&M, so I don't think that trip's going to last much longer. There were all kinds of buzzer beaters. USC had a heartbreak loss to Providence the other night, and Wisconsin beats Xavier at the buzzer also. So Wisconsin will continue. They'll play Notre Dame, who beat Stephen F. Austin with a tip-in with 2 seconds left. After Stephen F. Austin beats West Virginia, the number 7 ranked team in the country. Again, just crazy, crazy stuff. Indiana continues on. They beat Kentucky. They'll play North Carolina next week when in the Sweet 16. And then Syracuse, a team that I thought would be in the NIT this year, came out of nowhere, got in the tournament, and they're in the Sweet 16. They beat Middle Tennessee. They wiped out Middle Tennessee, who beat up Michigan State. If you can believe, Middle Tennessee, the 15 seed, beats Michigan State, the 2nd seed. Anything can happen when it comes down to one game. Virginia gets a good win. They beat up on Butler, and Iowa beats Little Rock, and then Iowa loses, or Iowa State continues on. They will play against Virginia. So we look at North Carolina, Indiana coming up. We look at Notre Dame and Wisconsin this weekend coming up. Also Virginia and Iowa State, along with Gonzaga, who beat Utah, beat them badly on Saturday night. They will play Syracuse. That'll be some fun games. We'll look at the other end of the bracket tomorrow. We'll talk about the South and the West. And Steve Alford, the UCLA coach, UCLA had a really bad year this year. He gave back his extension that he had on his contract, meaning that the guaranteed years aren't there right now because of the performance this year. I think that was very noble. I don't know if the school will actually accept that offer or not, but he offered it back. He's still the coach, but gave back the extension that he was given after his term would end, which would be in 2 years. So he was really guaranteed for 6. Now he's only guaranteed for 2, if that makes sense. Okay, let's talk about the NBA. Boy, the Lakers will be glad when this season's over. They will be really glad. They've lost 4 straight. The Lakers now 14-55. If you can imagine, the Clippers have lost 2 straight. They're now 43-26. They're in second place in the Pacific Coast Division. And in first place, the Golden State Warriors, trying to get the best record ever recorded in the NBA. They're currently 62 wins and 7 losses. Hard to believe, but the NBA playoffs will be coming up in just about 3 weeks. Hard to believe that March is almost gone. NBA playoffs are always a fun time, along with the NCAA tournament. So Sweet 16 starts Thursday. We'll have games Friday, and then after next weekend, the Final Four will be announced, and that'll be the following weekend. Syracuse over the weekend had a tough loss at Chaffee. They dropped a 6-0 game to the Panthers. The Coyotes now are battling for second place. They'll play San Bernardino this week. They'll play 2 games here in Ridgecrest and 1 game in San Bernardino. The first game is Tuesday here in Ridgecrest starting at 2:30. If you can't make it, you can tune in to SyracuseBaseball.club. And that would be your sports on this Monday evening. I am Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. All of us at KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station. And remember, join us Tuesday morning for the Kern County Supervisors meeting at 9 a.m. Now stay tuned for Ridgecrest Talk coming up next.